Well, welcome. Wow, what an incredible story. Marie Masferrer, right? Is that how you
Yes.
pronounce it?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. You work in libraries. What do you call that? A library media specialist.
That's the fancy name.
That's
yes.
me. I'm telling you what, you're my hero because you're always out there campaigning for the truth, for the community, and we just need more of that. Don't you agree?
We definitely need. We need people showing up for every school board meeting, especially those who can make the 10 a.m. meetings. We're still lobbying for a 5 o'clock start time for every school board meeting so that teachers can attend. But yes, if you want books in your libraries and you want your children to have the best education, show up to the school board. We have to prove that there are more of us who want the books on the shelf than want them off the shelf.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. We put up on the screen a lot of information. I know you're
that would take a long time to go through all that.
Okay.
FAME is the Florida Association for Media and Education. They have been my support and backbone for more than 15 years. My first 3 years in the library in Manatee County, I wasn't allowed to join. So
really?
I actually was told no by a principal. So I left that school. And now the school no longer exists. So that should tell you something about not joining FAME. So you want to support FAME. My time as a board member, they actually recruited me saying, you can just go to Tallahassee once a year and have a great 3 days up there lobbying and telling our story, and everything blew up. So I was the legislative chair for FAME when the laws were being written that we're surviving right now.
You're a journalist originally, trained?
I started out as a journalist, yes.
And you were a teacher in elementary school?
I started out as an elementary teacher. I actually taught at SCF, so I've taught from first grade all the way to adults.
Wow.
And my time as an instructional technology specialist, which is what my degree is in, I taught teachers. I would actually go into classrooms. One of my greatest claims to fame in Texas, the day before we left, I installed my first smart board in a tiny little town called Lufkin, Texas.
Okay, so how do you go from journalism to teaching to library?
Well, as a journalist, I was incredibly bored. I worked 3:30 to midnight at the Waco Tribune-Herald. Well, bored until the Davidians decided to shoot at my husband.
That's another story.
I was there during when the Davidians were there, but I actually asked my father. I said, "What did you like about your job?" And he said, "Everything is different." And actually, I would say I received a call to teach. My parents said if I became a teacher, they would not help me with my education. They did not want me to be a teacher in any form because they're both teachers of some sort. And so when I decided to return my plan to school, my plan was to teach second grade for 30 years and retire. But as I was teaching, the part of my degree of instructional technology, I found that I could help teachers. And part of being a media specialist is making lives of teachers easier with curriculum and support resources and also with the technology.
Teachers come to you and they ask, well, I've got this project, I want to do, what do you have that could help with this?
Could
Is that what you do?
Yes. Or I would like to use video. Can you help? Like I've done clay animation projects with kindergarten, or I've taught spreadsheets to first graders. So I bring in the technology pieces that help engage the students, and also to help the teachers. Like if there's a tech skill that they'd like their kids to do, we don't do that through a lab anymore. We actually teach it through reading or science.
You know, I know why you're here. I know what's got you a lot of attention, and we're talking books and we're talking libraries. Children today, I mean, my youngest daughter is a teacher at Manatee High School and had a big issue not long ago. And apparently every child in the class has a cell phone.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
Oh, yes.
So I'm thinking, look, I'm an old guy, so I'm old school library. I even went to law school, we had books. Now they don't use that. So you got libraries, then you have Google and access to all kinds of weird things, porn, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
And they have these in the school. What's the big deal? What's the difference between the library and some of the books that are being banned and versus their access? And I was asking, and my wife said, why do they have cell phones in schools? Why do the parents, and they say, well, my daughter said the parents demand it. So they allow their child to have a phone, an iPad, access to the internet on some horrid things, but they have a problem with the book. Explain this to me, why libraries are important or what's going on with all this?
Well, I think first you have to look at the state of public schools in Florida.
Okay.
I do believe this is a concerted effort and a documented strategic effort to reduce the trust in teachers, librarians, and our public schools. I think
Okay.
it's part of the plan that our schools become completely
You mean
charter.
Cochran, and who was the Secretary of Education, now who's running, was
Manny
the liberal?
Diaz,
Yes.
Manny Diaz, and well, I believe every Republican all the way back to Jeb Bush has looked for an end to public education.
I think they're trying to get the public money into their pockets, right?
It's
They're
your
creating
money.
charter schools with the
It is
public money and kicking back. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's
Okay.
exactly what they're getting. As far as the books go, I think a big issue for parents is they can see it and read it in a book, and what is on their child's iPad or cell phone is right in their hands. They're not seeing it, they're not accessing it, they're not aware of it. And kids are using apps and talking through apps and gaming systems that their parents aren't aware of. A big thing that I deal with, even at elementary school, are kids chatting. I mean, the number one way you're going to find a predator for your child is going to find a predator is in a messaging system, in an app, Minecraft, Fortnite.
Really?
The predators are coming at kids, and with the laws that they're trying to put together, the librarians and FAME and ALA, we are all trying to get legislators to listen that there should be a law. If you are under the age of 13 using a game, there should be no messaging system as part of that game. Because kids think they're just talking to someone inside a game,
Right.
but that's where the predators are finding them, through things that are made for them and are geared for kids under the age of 14.
So you think the library is a better place to get information than if they have access to their phone, an iPad, or whatever, Google search?
Now that instructional tech degree is going to tell you no, because that is the biggest advantage that our children have over my generation is they have access to more information in any time in history.
But not always accurate information.
Not always accurate information, but I will tell you this, my 10-year-olds can spot fake news on the internet faster than anybody over the age of 40. My students...
Yeah, but can I stop you there?
But it's also because they have a librarian.
Well, that's what I was going to go with, because I've had guys say, I created my this, and they could... I said, they're not as smart as you. They may not have the opportunities you have. They may not have the education as you had. You can't just put everybody in the same class and expect them to get fake news. One of the things I was really concerned about, when I was a child, we get bullied, and I could go home and the bullying stopped. But now
it's extremely true.
They're bullying, through the phones, which the schools allow. And they can get this horrible information. They can get bullied. I mean, how does that? What's your opinion on that?
And I tell my 8, 9, and 10-year-olds that it's going to speed up when they enter middle school.
Yes.
But guess who has control of that app? And guess who has control of the technology? I said, guess what? You won't die if you delete TikTok. And of course, my 10-year-olds go, no. But
so you're saying you have control over what they're watching and seeing on the phone or iPad?
I believe parents need to be more involved. Look at the phone. Have your passwords. If you don't have passwords to your children's phones and they won't give them to you, you need to ask yourself why. It's the same thing I tell kids about banned books. If someone wants to ban a book, you need to ask yourself, why do they not want me to read this? There's a reason they don't want you to read it.
How do you justify the difference between controlling what a child does with their phone and their iPad or the computer and a book? I mean, these people, the religious wrong or the religious, are getting involved, in my opinion, the national religious ideas that they want to control and manipulate what's going on in the library, but they seem to not give a hoot about what's happening on their iPhone and their computers.
And let's face a fact, there is no porn in a school library. There is porn on that phone. So what should you be more concerned about? Taking
care of your child and what they're looking at there.
And also, there are parents who are okay with their children, teenagers hopefully, of accessing porn. There are parents, I hate to tell you, but there are. And I'm sorry, but one parent does not have a right to tell another parent what their child can and cannot access. I can't tell them how to teach their children or what they have access to. I have had parents come to my library and say, I don't feel this book is appropriate for my child. Excellent. Let's find a book that you feel more comfortable with for your child. But am I going to take that book off the shelf? I may read it again if a parent objected to it and see, is there something that I should be aware of that I wasn't? But I'm not pulling it off because the next parent may want their child to read that book.
Why are you so ginned up and excited and passionate about this book canceling or banning that the governor and the right wing are trying
We live
to do?
in the United States of America.
Okay.
And in the United States of America, we have the First Amendment. And our forefathers chose to put the First Amendment first over the Second Amendment. We have the ability to express ourselves, to say what we think. And guess what? Never in the history of the world has anything written in a book changed a mind, yes, but has created destruction, no. I actually had a Baylor professor say to me, we had to deconstruct the Bible at Baylor, and there were many Baptists in there who put it as a sacred document, and you're not allowed to touch it. But he said, you know what? If I say anything in this classroom that shakes your faith and your belief, it wasn't strong to start with. So if there's a book that you're afraid of, you need to look back in the mirror. You need to look in the mirror as to what you're afraid of.
I've always said, I'm going to just say it though, you know, when I meet people that are wearing their religion on their sleeves, they're condemning other people, I say, hey, be careful. Those are the ones that aren't that close to God, because good Christians, good people of faith, they don't have to tell me they're people of faith. I can see it.
You can see it in what they're doing.
Exactly.
And also, social media and what's happening in the internet is a perfect example. Someone who's been vilifying me and calling me a groomer and saying I'm for the sexualization of children walks up and shakes my husband's hand as if she said absolutely nothing.
Isn't it amazing how they hide behind the computer
behind a screen?
Right.
And I said, you know what? Let's put our ideas on the table. Come forward. And continues to say that there is porn
Put
in
your
libraries.
name out there and show how stupid, ignorant, or racist or backwards you are. That's what I'd like. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, just own it. At least you own whatever your beliefs are based, and it's from an educated point of view. And anyway, I believe so. So tell me about this Moms for Liberty and the folks that you're seeing quite a bit of in this attack against books.
Well, for the record, we do not have a Moms for Liberty chapter here in Manatee County. But make no mistake, there is a playbook out there. It is written as to the steps you take and the books that you attack. As soon as a book appears on Book Looks, you will see it challenged across the state of Florida.
Well, listen, this is fantastic. We're going to get right back to this in just a second. This is amazing. Thank you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.